Hello and welcome to Frank's School. Over the next 4 days, maybe 5, I'm going to try to tell you about Wedge's paradigm. And what I want to do today, this first time, is put it into context. What does Wedge's paradigm come out of? Now, it's actually, the name is Notes on Wedge's Paradigm. Here's a copy of it. Here's a copy of it. There aren't very many copies of it. But anyway, in a moment I'm going to go over to a desk there with the camera and I'm going to show you some things to put it in context. And the things that I'm going to show you, besides this, I guess I'll show you this today, is this book here. Some of these are monsters. This is We're Alive. We're Alive is the way that's pronounced. That's in our talk writing, my spelling system, by Wedge, and Matter and Mason Mortimer. Well, Wedge Corson is a pen name that I took, and Matter and Mason Mortimer is a pen name that Michael Bruce Herncane took, and we wrote this monster together. The name Wedge comes from, the reason I took that fictional name is because a wedge splits things, and I found out that it was my role in life, different times, to split things apart. And so I thought, and Court is my father's name. I am Court's son. Matter and Mason Mortimer, that's a little more complicated to explain why he took that pen name. But in any case, I am principally a writer of nonfiction, and Michael is a wonderful writer of fiction. Both of us are poets. But anyway, so I'll give you a look at this because it's the context of Wedge's paradigm. I'll also be showing you, although I hesitate to even open this thing, this is work that a man named Gary Fitz and I did. For about 5 years, we worked on developing a Homestead engineer's handbook. And why I looked over there was because I thought maybe on the shelf I might have a handbook, some kind of an engineer's handbook. I probably do. But anyway, we undertook to write that, and it comes out of that work. And then I guess finally, these card catalogs. Well, there was a lot of work involved in Homestead engineering, and these are cards. I haven't even opened these for almost 40 years. But I'll give you a little bit of a look at that. I started that in Brazil, and then since I needed another box set size, I actually built one out of plywood because I needed one, and so I'll be showing you those as well. But anyway, I'm going to go over now and film over there. And maybe I'll show you this too. Now, these are enlargements that I've made so that I could actually, with the video camera, show you this a little bit better. Now, you'll see when I get over there. So, end of first shot, I'm going to go over there and set the camera up, and I'll go on with this. Okay, let me show you some of this stuff. Here's a handbook of an engineer's handbook of air conditioning, heating, and ventilating. Just to give you an idea of what's meant and what we undertook to, there goes a catch, undertook to write. Here's a table of contents. If you're going to go into be an engineer in this field, you would need this handbook. Well, all right, I was looking for something like that on the shelf. Now, here's a copy of Notes on Wedge's Paradigm, but it's not very easy to read. I can do better. Look at that. There's part of the drawings. This will give you an idea of what's coming. But that's what I did, you see, was I enlarged it. And I'll show you these. I'll show you these in a couple days. I also had it typed. There's another copy. Now the work that I was doing, the research. Here's the Homestead engineering work that Frank Antonsen and Gary Fitz that we did, and I hesitate to even open this because it is there's so much stuff in here. There's a computer program. This is at the very birth of computer programming. But anyway, I'll just show you that was what we were working with. Here's my card catalog, all dirty, all mildewy. Haven't looked at it, as I said, I think in 40 years. I'm not even sure if the cards are still legible. Well, those are blank. Yeah, they're legible. They're legible. And as I had said, I made myself a card catalog or a box, because I had, this stuff is also, that's legible. Factors causing deterioration of plastics. Oh well, lots of work. But here's, this I'll take a little bit more time with. This is We're Alive. That's Mattern's signature. This is Wedge's signature. I say it's standard English translation because I could have written it all in Artok writing if I'd chosen to. The table of contents. Well, what we did here was the first part. The whole work was very autobiographical. You might even call it narcissistic, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, part one was Wedge. This is my writing. Part two was Mattern. That's Mattern's writing. He's a wonderful writer of fiction. I mostly write nonfiction. And both of us are poets. And then we go on and show more. But anyway, this part here, right here, Utopia, from page 35 to page 214, I guess. That's what I wanted to show you a little, to put Wedge's paradigm in context, Utopia. Let me go back there, because it's easier to show you in the table of contents. Mercifully, I think I took out a drawing that I made. The farm. All right, 1963, New Hampshire. I was at 17 years old. I was in high school, and I think I wrote that as part of my application to Harvard, I think. Of Societies, 1964, New Hampshire. I was a high school senior, and you can see my interest in Utopia. That's why I put these together. Utopian Writers of the Renaissance, 68, Massachusetts. Well, I was at Harvard. I was a senior. Dear Erag, that's Gary Fitz. I wrote a letter to him. We went to high school together, 67. I'll show you, as we go through that, I'll show you that. Initial study for craftsman colony in school, 1970, Brazil. I was in Brazil and working with craftsmen. And again, as I go through, I'll show you this. The working papers. Well, the working papers was what became of the Homestead engineering work. And I'll show you more of that later on. The Decentralist Manifesto, I wrote it, I guess, I was in Venezuela at that time. Again, working with crafts. And that I said I will retype. Note to the reader, working papers. This has to do with computer programming and drawings, and I'll show you more of it. And Fiverr is just transition to go into the next section. This is a character out of Watership Down. I hope you can see this. And then Wedge's paradigm would go in here. I think 76 was when I wrote it. All right, so here is Harvard. That's Utopia. This was what I wrote the fall of my senior year. Fall of my senior year. Yeah, 63. Junior. I think I was a junior then. I think there might be two copies of it in here. Of Societies, this I wrote as a senior. Okay. This I wrote as a senior. This I wrote Utopian Writers of the Renaissance. This I wrote as a senior at Harvard. And he didn't like my typewriter ribbon. I didn't. I'm going to reread this at some point. I haven't. He liked it. He thought it was well written. I don't even know why there's stuff on the back there. Oh wait, no, I know what's going on. That's the end of that. And then there's the bibliography for that. This was the letter I wrote to, this was whimsical, to Gary. And I proposed that I had found this work in the Widener Library at Harvard, and it was not identified, and so I was telling him about it. Dear Wedge, that wasn't very funny. Signed, Gary. All right, now this was seriously done. Catole de Rocha is where I lived in Brazil, spring of 1970. I would have been there for about a year and a half. And this was a study to see if you had 16 people as founders, if you could establish a craftsman's colony and school. And I did want to show you the craftsmen. I just sent a copy of this to the Hawklings in Germany because I wanted them to have a copy. Skills required. All right, there were 16 men and women I separated. And I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but you might be interested to see that list if you can read it. Now, the working papers for the Homestead Engineer's Handbook. That's all the rest of this. That's all this stuff. And what I did was I made 40 copies of this, and I gave them to my friends and family. I am going to retype the beginning part of it. This is the part that I call Working Introduction, but I also renamed it the Decentralist Manifesto. It is political, it is philosophical, but then when I get to the end of that, then I begin the model, the computer work. And this I'll show you, because these drawings lead up to Wedge's paradigm. And then I guess that's sort of it. I don't know what I'm ever going to do with the rest of this stuff. I give an enormous bibliography at the end of all that work. And then this is the transition into the next part, Watership Down, and Homestone Poems. This is a collection of very peculiar poetry. The older you get, the easier it is to tell stories. Well, in any case, there you have a context, and tomorrow I'll show you more about that working introduction, the Decentralist Manifesto, a little bit. No, actually not too much about that, but I'm still putting it in context. Well, I hope you've followed this. I hope if this is boring and not to your taste, well, it's only going to go on for about 3 more days. I got a lot of drawings to show you now. So see you for today. Bye.